Welcome to another video covering forgotten monsters or creatures in RuneScape 3. Some have outdated models, some have outdated animations, and some have both. So when you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. The first forgotten monster or creature of RuneScape 3 in this video will be the Experiment, located in the Experiment Cave under Frankenstein's castle. During and after the completion of the Creature Frankenstein quest, you can access this cave. There are 3 different experiments: the Wolf Woman, Spider-Man, and Sheepdog. When attempting to attack these experiments again, you can only attack the Spider-Man and the Sheepdog. If you attack the Wolf Woman, it says you don't have the heart to kill this poor creature again. As if the Spider-Man and Sheepdog aren't poor creatures. I mean, how can you not feel remorse for killing this Spider-Man? Look at him! Look at him! Next up are the Chaos Druid Warriors. Now sure, you might remember the regular Chaos Druids you killed in the Edgeville dungeon, but do you remember the Chaos Druid Warriors inside a Yanil dungeon? Probably not. This dungeon is located in a building nearby the Edgeville wall and can be accessed after cutting through some spider webs. These Chaos Druid Warriors have an interesting model as they have the old iron chain body and a steel mace, if I'm correct. These Druid Warriors remind me a little bit of the jail guards in Draenor who also wield a steel mace. Just like regular Chaos Druids, they have a bunch of herb drops and they are good for Iron Men. It's to absolutely no surprise that the model and animations for these Druid Warriors have not been updated yet. Next up are the Hazel cultists found in the Ardoing sewers, which surprise surprise are only really part of the game in the Hazel's cult quest. I believe they're pretty much useless apart from that. After completing the quest, if you go back to the area and talk to Almone, their leader, they will all attack you because he is sick of you, which is ironic. Next up isn't per se a forgotten monster because it's common in a variety of quests, but the ogres have this area called the Ogre Enclave. And it's interesting to see that there's also blue dragons and demon spawns inside. Perhaps before EOC, when blue dragons were even more popular, this might have been a good location to kill blue dragons at for no competition. I wasn't initially planning to include the ogres in this video, but it just surprised me that there were so many different creatures inside this cave. Next up is a very interesting location I accidentally stumbled upon during gameplay. The Orania Cave. In this cave you can find a variety of Zamrak enemies to kill, including Zamrak Rangers, Mages, Warriors, Cave Lizards, and apparently Crafters. Now you can get here by going from Castle Wars all the way to the battlefield and then entering the area as seen nearby the Red Salamander training area for Hunter. Now inside you can actually bank, but to bank you will need 20 of any type of rune, which is very unusual for a bank in RuneScape 3. Inside this cave, there's a special altar that turns your pure essence into any rune in RuneScape 3, except combination runes like mud or lava runes. I'll cover that in just a second, but let's first talk about the enemies inside. First of all, we have the Zamrak Warrior, which is a level 65 enemy. Now he seems to have a dragon scimitar and full dragon, and some kind of dragon square shield. Although I'm pretty sure that a dragon scimitar never really looked like that. I could be mistaken there, but it looks like something in between Old School RS and RS2. Could be wrong there, not entirely sure. But you also have a level 61 version of it, which seems to have some kind of iron longsword for whatever reason, while wearing dragon armor, by the way. It's also interesting to see that the other version with the iron or steel longsword has a different version of the dragon armor, at least a different helmet. Now it seems that these Zamrak enemies drop a variety of things depending on which one you kill, from runes to arrows to salvage. You know, not really anything special. That Orania altar though, ooh, that is interesting. Just look what happens with my pure essence as I do my run. It turns into every type of rune. Every type, even astral runes. It surprised me and caught me off guard. I was like, what? I thought I could pick which runes I could craft from here, which would have been even more interesting, but it just makes all the runes you can make. And I think that depends on your rune crafting level and how many quests you've completed, but it's just bizarre. I didn't even know this altar existed. Now the altar gives you double the normal experience. Now in the Abyss it's 250% or 350% with the Demonic Skull, so no, it's not better than the Abyss. But it's an okay money making method. For my Monko math, it's over 2.5 million GP per hour, which isn't anything good for rune crafting, but you know, interesting to know. Next up, we have these ugly looking Bloodvilds. Yes, these are actually Bloodvilds, but apparently they are mutated versions, and their model seems to have not been updated for the past decade, while regular Bloodvilds have been updated at some point. Now, these mutated Bloodvilds can be found in the Mire Ditch dungeon, and really there isn't that much to say about these. They look absolutely hideous. I think that's the point of them. They look hideous because they are hideous, but also because the model is just so incredibly old. I understand that they wouldn't put effort into updating these, as there is no real point to it, and I wouldn't be surprised if Jagex moderators forgot these exist. The drops are salvage, herbs, and apparently anchovy pizza, because they should have pizza. That's right. Next up is an underwater area you will most likely have forgotten by now, unless you recently did a part of the Recipe for Disaster quest. In that case, you probably know of this area. You can access the area by talking to Murphy in Port Khazard, who will give you a diving suit for you to go underwater. When I did the Recipe for Disaster quest, or at least a part of it, I was very surprised to see this area being a thing in Runescape. I had never heard of it previously. If you compare this to the Elite Dungeon 3 Shadow Reef, you can see how much RuneScape's graphics have progressed. Inside you can fight mud skippers after picking up stones, which look very, very derpy. And if you have 5 stones, you can also kill the crabs inside a little arena. If you're wondering, you can create a crab claw and crab helmet from the items you get from killing these crabs underwater. Next up, we have the Terror Dogs inside the Tarn's lair, and I believe this was suggested in the previous Forgotten Monsters video. Now, you only know of these creatures if you have recently enchanted your Salve Amulet in this lair. You can get here easily by using a Ring of Slaying, but if you don't have a Ring of Slaying, or you don't have extra spare Slayer points, you have to go for the Tarn's lair again, like I did, which isn't very fun, especially if you're like impatient with stuff like this, you know, puzzles, annoying mechanics. Let's not talk about that. Anyways, I'm sure many of you don't remember these at all, or don't even know these existed. Never seen them before. Let me know down in the comments below. And finally, we have the Ice Queen, who drops the Ice Gloves, who you might have encountered if you've been doing quests recently, as the Ice Gloves are used in a bunch of quests. Yes, a bunch of quests. Now, just because the Ice Queen drops an item that is used in a variety of quests doesn't mean people have forgotten she exists. Because most of the people that have done these quests still play, but have done those quests a long time ago. Now, I wanted to include the Ice Queen simply because the Ice Warriors around the Ice Queen actually have a different model compared to the ones in the Port Sarim dungeon. Just look at the difference between the ones at the Ice Queen, who look like they have mithril armor, compared to the ones in the Port Sarim Ice dungeon that look like they have rune armor or actual ice armor. It's a significant difference and just something that caught my eye. Oh, and by the way, the Ice Gloves are a nice fashion item if you like blue. And with that being said, that's the end of the second video covering Forgotten Monsters and areas in RuneScape. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please feel free to leave a like down below and maybe even consider subscribing. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.